Let me start by saying this is an anime-only friendly video, as will any future episode reviews. I will mention no future events and won't go into anything that might imply what happens next. Yes, I'm a manga reader, and actually kind of a purist. I prefer the manga over the anime. Maybe I'm gonna get into some reasons why in this video. Point is, there will be critique. This format might limit me a bit in terms of explaining why I like or dislike certain things, because I can't bring up future stuff, but at least it'll keep me from talking too much. So welcome to Vinland Saga. You've heard about it, now it's time to see, is everything you've been told true? No. The part about it being the best thing ever? Yes. Everything else? No. Well, maybe you'll end up agreeing with the common takes, but I feel like people oversimplify it the way they talk about it. Like they remember only specific things about it. I can only say one thing for now. You know how every single person talking about it is being concerned about the arc being divisive and bracing for a lot of people hating it? Vinland fans fighting their shadows, man. It was divisive a decade ago when it was coming out. Now it's the most beloved part of the series. It's the part that comes after that's actually more divisive. Yeah, some people are going to dislike it, but that's true for anything really. So how did I like the episodes? First, great opening and ending. When I first heard the opening song, I kind of hated it, but seeing the entire thing, it just clicked somehow. Props for not having any spoilers in them, by the way. Just creative imagery. Much better than the first OPs, which I really did not think fit that well with Vinland. Now, these episodes had a lot of filler added. Einar's entire backstory is filler. In the manga, there's only what Einar tells Thorfinn in the second episode, and any dialogue referencing it in the first episode is also new. The very first scene, carve it, with whatever language that was exactly, also filler, and set the tone really well, sounded authentic. It communicates a certain mentality in the Norse culture, an intensity men are pushed to embody, make yourself felt, reach a greatness even at the cost of shortening your life. It's not gonna be long anyway. A great scene to start a second season. This episode felt like fanfare in general, intense emotions throughout. In the manga, it is just the next chapter in a way, and not a new season 4 years after the first one, so in that way, I accept it. My reaction to the Einar backstory is a resounding, sure. We knew something along those lines happened in the canon of the manga, and honestly, it was pretty generic, nothing particularly interesting in it. As I expected, I guess. There's a reason it's not shown in the manga, it's not important. The only thing it has going for it is emotion. That alone isn't good or bad, but I see merit in it. I have in my mind certain later Einar moments, reactions, dialogue. I feel like I will feel more where those are coming from, rather than just understand. So all in all, pretty inoffensive, except Einar's haircut. How dare they do this to my boy? Actually, I prefer this filler from the season 1 filler. With that, aside episode 5, I had some problems with. And all of it was pretty destructive to the pacing, while this episode retains the structure of the story. It's not a bad spot to add filler. Right after the end of the prologue, the reader's gonna be anxious to see what the hell happened to Thorfinn. You're given this new character with whom you have no connection with, but you're still on edge and engaged, and that urges you on. Until Thorfinn appears and he's completely different and a slave, which raises questions, curiosity, more engagement. They tried to make the backstory thematically relevant by injecting it with some stuff that's not really directly related to Einar, the you need to live stuff. I don't know how to feel about that. I guess they needed to fill the backstory with something that felt important, and they felt like they needed to explain why Einar is how he is. I'm just afraid that if they keep doing that with the filler, they'll hammer the themes into the audience's heads too hard. It'll lose its subtlety. Vinland is extremely good at conveying its themes. I want nothing messing with them. And there will be much more filler. And the arc will be slower than the manga, cause 24 episodes is way too long for Vinland. One complaint I have is this. Einar wanting to be a warrior or whatever. Nope, that's not Einar. Yes, he says the reason is he wants to protect the village. That makes sense for his character, and he's half joking here. But it's like the scene that introduces him. It'll stick in the anime watcher's head, while actual Einar should be portrayed as the direct opposite, like there in the second episode. Another pet peeve of mine is the flashback to the dramatic event that happened this episode 3 times in that same episode. I'm not stupid, you don't need to tell me this. Just leave it at Einar intensely saying farm, and I get everything I need. Don't shoehorn the backstory in every single scene of chapter 55. This chapter mainly is about getting acclimated to the slave life, how they're treated like valuable merchandise. And they cut out some details, some narration by Einar. This line, which I love, I fetched the price slightly higher than 2 cows, so I suppose I can expect better treatment than a cow at least. It really summarizes the reality of slavery, how you would think about it. Some extra Einar weeping. Anime really wants to amp up those emotions, especially with that damn sad piano from season 1. I never liked how they did that. Everything has to be portrayed as super sad, which ends up feeling a bit monotone and tiring, and the actual intense moments don't stick out as much. The manga's more matter-of-factly approach, along with its expressive range and variety in tones, make it flow really well. It gives it an air of confidence and earnestness. It doesn't try too hard. But again, first episode in 4 years, I get it. Before getting to episode 2, I think the quality in both episodes is pretty great. Now, maybe you can't compare it to episode 1 of season 1, but season 1 didn't always look like episode 1. In fact, it mostly didn't. Angry Attack on Titan fans are pretty funny honestly, but no, MAPPA didn't ruin this. Yet, at least not the style. Cause how much fluid animation there was, like I don't remember off the top of my head, I don't retain that. Style and quality of line work, yes I remember. You have a hate boner for MAPPA getting all that undeserved praise? Well, I'm not a MAPPA defender, but I do have a bone to pick with Wit being placed on that podium. You only remember the really great season 1 episodes, the minority of them. Go back and watch some of those middle episodes, like episode 16. Oof. These 2 new episodes fit right in both in quality and style. Episode 2 I liked so much. Oh, you can't imagine. It feels like home. They got the tone right, it actually feels more chill. Einar's a bit more upbeat like he should be, he's regaining that himbo spirit. And it had some amazing animation spikes. Look at that Einar. And the colors in the background. Some animation hiccups were there, but it's great where it needed to be. Previous episode adapted chapter 55, this one adapted chapter 56 and half of 57. Minimal filler, Einar being more frustrated with Thorfinn mainly, reference to season 1 episode 5 filler, they showed them work a little bit more before cutting, which I thought helped the flow of the scene, and really small additions to dialogue that's not worth going over. But I just love seeing this whole new cast of characters being introduced. I'm even happy to see the farmhands. Olmar's introduction on point. I was actually reading this the other day and thinking to myself, they better catch the comedic timing with a super serious sword sitting and then cutting to Olmar running away, because it's a bit more subtle in the manga, but it was perfect. They're adapting to this environment and tone so well, it feels so refreshing. What do I have to offer in terms of analysis here? Olmar's angsty, he's 17, he just watched Fight Club, he feels he's just a shortcut to his father. He himself has no identity, just Ketil's son. So he doesn't care about the farm, he wants to be his own man, carve something of himself. And as a proper Norseman, he has decided that a warrior's the best thing to be. Thorfinn's so rattled by the end of the prologue he's gotten senile, he literally cares about nothing. Even being free doesn't seem to be a goal for him. Ketil seems to be an understanding master, Einar is his usual optimistic self and probably the most normal person in this entire series. The farmhands are half slaves themselves, so they find someone weaker to pick on, cause, superiority complex. Honestly, we're still setting up the farm ecosystem, so everything's pretty obvious, and I can't talk too much yet. This was a good start. I'm keeping expectations low cause I'm too burned with first episodes ending out better than the rest of the series. I was very to the point in this video, and the next one is probably going to be after 3 more episodes, cause the season found the worst point to start when I'm extremely busy, and I don't even know when I'll be done with this one. It is what it is. I'll probably be able to be a bit more open about certain things, and there will be more things to talk about. See you then!